Hello and welcome to Set for Smash Moveset Concept, where we look at characters and see how they would be, well, set for Smash. We're back with Fighter Pass Season 2, and as you can see from our Echo concept video, if you haven't seen it yet, we've actually refurbished the series into a brand new design. But enough about that. Let's get started on talking about the first character of Season 2, Bub and Bob, and how they would work for Super Smash Bros. In case you forgot how this works, let's begin with their origins. Bub and Bob first debuted in the classic arcade series, Bobble. The game was made by Taito, who you might know as the creators of Space Invaders. But considering a moveset for them is near impossible and would work much better as an assist trophy, the next best option was these lovable dinosaurs. The story is about Bubby and Bobby, two humans who are then turned into these lovable dinosaurs named Bub and Bob, who have to save their girlfriends from the evil Baron von Blubba. And to do so, they must traverse 100 levels and start bubbling characters and then bopping them. However, there's actually a lot more to the series than just Bobble. There's actually a couple of other spin-off games that they're well known for. For example, Rainbow Island, which actually has Bubby and Bobby in their human forms as they traverse an upward platforming adventure, and my personal favorite, Puzzle Bobble, or as it's known in the West, Bust a Move, which is a puzzle version of Bobble, which I adore in all honesty. In case you're wondering, the answer is yes. I will be using these as the idea for Bub and Bob's moveset, and how they would work in Super Smash Bros. Moving on to the first category of the series, details. Starting with the height of Bub and Bob, which is actually surprisingly easy. They're roughly just as small or a little taller than Kirby. I mean, they are tiny dinosaurs. While for their stats, well, they're really on the weak side for many different varieties, with their weight being fairly light, having an above average running speed, being one of the faster running characters, with also some pretty weak attack and defense. These guys can get KO'd pretty easily, just like a lot of small characters like Pikachu and Kirby. Their knockback is actually on the mid-weak side, so it's above average in most of their other attacks. I'll explain why when I get to their moveset. They also have 2 jumps and no other movement options. When entering stage, they're actually in a giant bubble and then it pops with them landing on the stage. The series symbol is obviously a bubble. For the taunts, the first one will have either Bub or Bob jump up and down, in happiness. For the second taunt, Bub and Bob will actually spin in a circle. This is actually somewhat too close to the victory animation to Puzzle Bobble. And for the third taunt, they'll actually wave at the camera and also give a wink, similar to actually one of the character arts from the game. For the color palettes, this is actually where I'm going to also explain this. Bub and Bob are actually separate characters, not a singular character like the Ice Climbers. So there are actually 4 different types of costumes for both Bub and Bob, with the first being their default designs, with Bub being green and Bob being blue. Color palette 3 will actually have Bub in a yellow color, referencing his girlfriend Peb in her dragon form. Color palette 4 will be Bob in a pink color pattern, referencing his girlfriend Pab. Color palette 5 will actually have Bub red, referencing another character named Boo Boo. Color palette 6 turns Bob purple, referencing another character named Grandpa. Color palette 7 will give Bub a black and red design, referencing the little evil dragon named Devilon. And for color palette 8, Bob will be colored gray. This is actually somewhat of a reference to the robot characters in the Bobble series. For the victory animations, an enemy from the Bobble series will actually turn into cake or candies, referencing the collectible items in the arcade game, and Bub and Bob will either see the items and then jump for joy. For the second victory animation, Bub and Bob will open a treasure chest that will actually open up a bunch of treats raining down around them. And for the final victory animation, Bub or Bob will actually turn back into their human forms, Bubby and Bobby, and then do a victory pose, somewhat referencing the true ending of the game. And lastly, the victory theme of the series is the Bobble theme. Moving on, we'll be going to the standard attacks. First, of course, is always the jab. This one is surprisingly easy, as it's just either Bub and Bob using a 2-handed claw swipe. For the dash, Bub and Bob will roll into a ball hitting foes, somewhat referencing the water slide animation from the games. For the side tilt, Bub and Bob will actually bite the characters, referencing how they always blow bubbles, but it's also technically an attack in the Bobble arcade game. For the up tilt, Bub and Bob will swing a parasol upward. This might sound a little on the weird side, but some of their other games actually involve them using parasols in them. I'm not sure which one, I'll leave it right there in the video. For the down tilt, Bub and Bob will do a tail swipe. For the smash attacks, I decided to be a little more on the creative side. For the side smash, Bub and Bob will blow a bubble, but unlike the other bubbles I'll be talking about later in this moveset, this one actually stays to their body, like if they chewed some bubble gum. The longer you hold the side smash, the bigger the bubble grows, until it's maxed to the perfect size, which is roughly the same size as Bub and Bob. Eventually, the bubble will pop. With the up smash, Bub and Bob will blow a bubble above themselves. This move works exactly like the side smash. For the down smash, Bub and Bob will swing their tail in a full circle. For the standard aerial, Bub and Bob will do a standardized spin. For the forward aerial, Bub and Bob will do a forward claw swipe. For the back aerial, Bub and Bob will actually use the backs of their spines to hit their foes. For the up aerial, Bub and Bob will open a parasol above them. If you hold the A button, you'll be able to float longer up in the air, similar to Peach's up special. The down aerial is a foot stomp with their dragon feet, somewhat similar to Dr. Mario. For the grabbing attacks, Bub and Bob will hold characters with both claws and then do a headbutt for a pummel. For the forward throw, Bub and Bob throw characters using the parasol. For the back throw, they spin the parasol and then throw the foe in the opposite direction, somewhat similar to the parasol attack from the Kirby games. The up throw will have them juggling the foes with the parasol and then throwing them upward, while the down throw will have them stomping on the foes. Now that we're done with the standard attacks, let's also talk about the special attacks. And of course, we gotta start with the standard special and the most important move that Bub and Bob have. Their standard special is... fucking bubbles! Yes, they shoot bubbles. I mean, this makes the most sense out of any attack. If you press and hold the standard special, Bub and Bob will shoot an infinite amount of bubbles at the foes. However, 10 bubbles can stay on the stage at a time. If you reach to 11, the first one you blew will automatically pop, and so on and so forth. These also technically count as Bub and Bob's grab, as characters can get trapped inside the bubbles. However, to make sure it's not super broken, characters can get out of the bubbles pretty easily. When characters hit a bubble, their stock icon appears, and by hitting a certain button, they'll pop out of it. However, the more damage you accumulate over time, it'll be harder to get out of those bubbles. This is also why Bub and Bob are weaker characters. Their specialty is trapping foes. Not only that, the bubbles also have other unique traits, such as Bub and Bob can actually use these as platforms. However, if they're stuck on them too long, they'll eventually pop on their own. And not only that, projectiles and items can also get caught in bubbles too. This is actually where Bub and Bob's moveset shines the most. So based on different element types, the following bubble effects will happen. Of course, I already mentioned with characters, if you already catch a character, they'll just be trapped inside. However, if you have a fire-based attack, which is pretty often, and fire bubbles will appear. And if Bub and Bob hits these bubbles, it'll create a small flame which lands on the ground, setting fire to the area around it, which traps enemies in contact, similar to Ness's PK Fire. If a water-based element hits a bubble, it'll become a water bubble. This one's pretty iconic to the series, as if you hit this bubble, it'll shoot a wave and capture foes and push them away. It works just like it does in the arcade games, however it's pretty easy for Bub and Bob to get out of them easily. All they have to do is jump, while foes are stuck in flinching damage. Electric-based attacks will make a lightning bubble, and if you hit the bubble in a specific direction, a thunderbolt will actually shoot in that direction. No, it is still technically a projectile, so people can deflect them, so be very careful. However, other elements like darkness, light, and even explosives will make a unique bubble known as a boom bubble. Hitting this one will cause an explosion. This will affect anyone near any characters who use it. And to make sure it's not super confusing, all characters will have color-coded bubbles based off Bub and Bob's color patterns. So no, only the character who made the bubbles can pop their own bubbles. Not only that, the bubbles are also color-coded based on the type of color palette you chose for Bub and Bob. Green bubbles for Green Bub, blue bubbles for Blue Bob, etc, etc. The Kirby hat is of course the Dino suit, and Kirby will just have normal bubbles appear. For the side special, well, you get to definitely taste the rainbow with this attack as you literally throw rainbows. If you press and hold the side special, you can throw up to 3 rainbows together at once. However, you can only shoot them one at a time. But as an added bonus, they also do make a new platform. But just like the bubbles, they won't last long, and they do take damage when being hit. However, if you destroy the rainbows or summon a new one, the rainbows will shatter and fall under it, causing it to technically rain glass. This is great for edge guarding, however to make sure it's not super broken, it'll only cause light flinching. This move originated from Rainbow Islands. For Bub and Bob's of a special, it'll trap them in their own bubble and they'll be sent flying, referencing how they always move from level to level in a giant bubble. A bubble will form around Bub and Bob and they can choose freely which direction they want to go. The bubble pop will have a hitbox, but it won't do a lot of knockback, or much damage. It specializes more in recovery. However, foes can actually pop the bubble if they aim precisely enough, and once when that bubble pops, Bub and Bob will go into freefall. And for the down special, it is the Bubble Launcher from Puzzle Bobble. By pressing down B and then holding the B button, you can actually choose the direction where you want your launcher to go. And when you let go of the B button, you'll actually send a giant bubble orb around the stage. It'll bounce off platforms, but if it hits foes, or even a wall, it'll automatically explode. However, as an added bonus, if you can actually aim it precise enough, you can even throw it at your own bubbles or opposing bubbles, causing a chain reaction explosion, somewhat similar to how Puzzle Bobble does a chain reaction to puzzle explosions, making Bub and Bob very versatile in combinations of how to handle certain situations. If you want to make a good escape, trapping people with bubbles is good. If you want to make a lot of damage, making rainbows are the best solution. If you have a good chain of bubbles intertwined with one another with items and characters, a bubble launcher is the perfect situation. Each of the Bubble Bobble games is all about being versatile and quick during situations, and this is how I see Bub and Bob working in Super Smash Bros. And last but not least, for the final smash, Bub and Bob will shoot a giant bubble at the foe. If they either catch 1 to 3 characters, a cinematic will happen where they'll shoot 6 bubbles through a bubble launcher that are skyrocketing above, hitting the foes in the giant bubble. It'll make a massive explosion, and the words EXTEND will appear. This of course referencing the extend bubbles that you get, which is technically a knockout screen for the games, and gives you an easy life. I call this move Bubble Bobble Extend. Of all the characters that deserve to be in Smash, Crash Bandicoot and Arl are really good choices, but when it comes to retro representation and the classic arcade genre, I think Bub and Bob are the last big deal characters to put in the Smash series. Bubble Bobble is still a long-term running series, and even their spin-off series are just as popular as the original. Rainbow Island's maybe not that much. But if Smash Bros. Were to add another retro rep from a third-party series, I think Bub and Bob are the best choice to join the battle. And with that, we just set for Smash Bub and Bob. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what you saw, just like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. And also check out some of my other content on my channel like Go No Go and Unlucky AngelStar. And if you want to follow up on news on other content, you can also check out my community page on my YouTube channel or even follow me on Twitter. And check out for the next Moveset concept.